Hello, I'm Mr. K, and today we continue our journey into transcultural nursing. So today we will talk about Buddhism. Buddhism, uh, founded by Siddhartha Gautama, which we call the Buddha, was around 2500 years ago in India. Right now has around 470 million followers and considered as the one of the major religion, though it is mostly concentrated in the East and Southeast Asia. It has right now growing number of followers on the West. Many Buddhist ideas and philosophies overlap with those of other faith. Maybe that's why people find it attractive. So let's go and talk over uh, those interesting facts. Followers of Buddhism do not acknowledge a supreme God or deity. They instead focus on achieving enlightenment, a state of inner peace and wisdom. When followers reach this spiritual echelon, they said to have experienced nirvana. The religion founder, Buddha, is considered the extraordinary man, but not God. The word Buddha means enlightened. The path to enlightenment is attained by utilizing morality, meditation, wisdom. Buddhists often meditate because they believe it helps awakening the truth. There are many philosophers and interpretations within Buddhism, making it a tolerant and evolving religion. Some scholars don't recognize Buddhism as an organized religion, but rather a way of life, a spiritual tradition. Buddhism encourages people to avoid self-indulgence, but also self-denial. Buddha is the most important teaching, known as the Four Noble Truths, are essential to understanding the religion. Buddhists embrace the concept of karma, like in Hinduism, the law of cause and effect, and reincarnation, the continuation of the cycle of rebirth, like samsara in Hinduism. Followers of Buddhism can worship in temples or in their own homes. Buddhist monks follow a strict code of conduct, which includes celibacy. There is no single Buddhist symbol, but a number of images had evolved that represents Buddhist beliefs, including the lotus flower, the eight-spoked dharma wheel, the bodhi tree, and the swastika, the ancient symbol whose name means well-being and good fortune in Sanskrit. That's another sign of Buddhism. And you know that swastika was accepted by Nazi Germany in 20th century, and for many people represents Nazism. It is definitely not so. Swastika is much older, much ancient than Nazism, and Nazi swastika is diagonal. The Buddhist swastika is straight, like the swastika used in Hinduism. Actually, Buddhism, we can say, was outbranched or came out of Hinduism later in history and became independent religion. There is no single Buddhist image, but there is a man who was standing in the beginning of the way of Buddhism. His name was Siddhartha Gautama, the founder of Buddhism, who later became the Buddha. He lived during the 5th century BC. He was born in wealthy family as a prince in present-day Nepal. Although he had an easy life, Gautama was moved by suffering in the world. he decided to give up his lavish lifestyle and endure poverty. When this didn't fulfill him, he promoted the idea of the middle way, which means existing between two extremes. Thus, he thought a life without social indulgence, but also without deprivation. After 6 years of searching, Buddhists believe Gautama found enlightenment while meditating under the Bodhi tree. He spent the rest of his life teaching others about how to achieve the spiritual state. When Gautama passed away around 483 BC, his followers began to organize a religious movement. Buddha's teaching became the foundation for what would develop into Buddhism. In the 3rd century BC, Ashoka the Great, the Mauryan Indian emperor, made Buddhism the state religion in India. Buddhist monasteries were built and missionary work was encouraged. Over the next few centuries, Buddhism began to spread beyond India. The thoughts and philosophies of Buddhists became diverse, with some followers interpreting ideas differently than others. In the 6th century, the Huns invaded India, and they destroyed hundreds of Buddhist monasteries. But the intruders were eventually driven out of the country. Islam later on began spreading quickly in region and forced Buddhism into the ground. Today, many forms of Buddhism exist around the world. The 3 main types that represent specific geographical area include Theravada Buddhism, is prevalent in Thailand, Sri Lanka, Cambodia, Laos, and Burma. Mahayana Buddhism, prevalent in China, Japan, Taiwan, Korea, Singapore, Vietnam, and Tibetan Buddhism, prevalent in Tibet, Nepal, Mongolia, Bhutan, and parts of Russia and northern India. Each of these types has certain text, certain books. They are talking about the same, but they pretty much have some slight differences in the interpretation of Buddha teaching. There are also several subjects or subcategories of Buddhism, like for example, Zen Buddhism or Nirvana Buddhism. Some form of Buddhism incorporate the idea of other religions and philosophies, such as Taoism or Bonpos. Well, Bonpos is a very controversial branch of Buddhism, which it's very complicated and need to be studied deeply to understand. We're not going to talk about it here. We'll talk about general Buddhism. So, Buddha teaching is known as Dharma. He taught that wisdom, kindness, patience, generosity, and compassion were important virtues. Specifically, all Buddhists live by 5 moral precepts, which prohibit killing living things, taking what is not giving, sexual misconduct, lying, using drugs or alcohol. Again, no killing of living things, no stealing, no taking what is not given, no sexual misconduct, no lying, and no using drugs or alcohol. If we look at 10 commandments, we would see that they actually, in Christianity, 10 commandments, Judaism, 10 commandments, they have very similar teachings. You shall not murder, not killing living things. You shall not steal, not taking what is not given. You shall not commit adultery, no sexual misconduct. You shall not bear false witnesses against your neighbor, no lying. Well, the only thing is what was not included in Ten Commandments is alcohol. But otherwise, as you see, those are the universal principles which share many religions, and Buddhism actually is very strict about it. There are four noble truths which Buddha taught. The truth of suffering, dukkha, the truth of the cause of suffering, samudaya, the truth of the end of suffering, nirhodha, and the truth of the path of the free us from the suffering, magga. Collectively, those principles explain why humans hurt and not overcome the sufferings. The Buddha taught his followers that the end of suffering, as described in the Fourth Noble Truth, could be achieved by following the Eightfold Path. Well, in no particular order, the Eightfold Path of Buddhism teaches the following ideas for ethical conduct, mental discipline, and achieving wisdom. First of all, right understanding, right thought, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. That's wonderful. Buddhists revere many sacred texts and scriptures, but some of the most important scriptures are Tipitaka, the text known as the Three Baskets, thought to be the earliest collection of Buddhist writings. Sutras, more than 2,000 sutras exist, which are sacred teaching embraced mainly by Mahayana Buddhists. It's Buddhism which prevalent in China, Japan, Taiwan. And the Book of the Dead. This Tibetan text describes the stages of death in details. Amazing. The Dalai Lama is the leading monk in Tibetan Buddhism. Followers of the religion believe that the Dalai Lama is a reincarnation of the past Lama that has agreed to be born again to help humanity. There have been 14 Dalai Lamas throughout the history. The Dalai Lama, also the governor of Tibet, until the Chinese took it in 1959. The current Dalai Lama, Lama Thondap, was born in 1935. You've probably seen that wonderful man with absolutely charismatic smile and kind eyes. Every year, Buddhists celebrate Vesak, a festival that commemorates Buddha's birth, enlightenment, and death. During each quarter of the moon, followers of Buddhism participate in a ceremony called Uposatha. This observance allows Buddhists to renew their commitment to their teachings. They also celebrate the Buddhist New Year and participate in several other early festivities. Buddhism is the religion and is a philosophy. There's a great deal of Buddhism included in many martial arts. The ability to concentrate, ability to focus, ability to find oneself as a part of the universe. This is all coming from Buddhism. Buddhist monks are known for many absolutely amazing abilities which they develop in themselves over the years. While meditating, Buddhist monk can control what seemed not to be able to control by anybody else. They can control not only pulse, they can control the body temperature. This is the only what we know for sure, because there was experiments done. There are other interesting stories about abilities of Buddhist monks to levitate, to use their enormous strengths. Those are the stories which couldn't exist without the foundation. Among the many religions, what we know, Buddhism is one of the mysterious, one of the most mysterious than others. And it's worth studying.